Move to this story. One inmate in Mangaung Correctional Center says he did not believe Thabo Bester was dead when they got the word in prison. He's described Bester as a sociopath who cared only about himself. Bester escaped from prison last year after faking his death in a fire. He was rearrested last month in Tanzania with his girlfriend Nandipha Magudumana. Several people have been implicated in his escape from Mangaung prison. Magudumana and her co-accused will be back in court tomorrow for bail application. Senior reporter Silindelo Masikane spoke to an inmate who claims to have the inside story. Silindelo, good afternoon. So what can we then expect? What's going to be coming up tomorrow?
Good afternoon, Brother. And yes, we find ourselves once more at the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, where, of course, we are expecting the bail applications of Dr. Nandipha and her co-accused 5 others who have been implicated in that elaborate escape by Thabo Bester from the Mangaung Correctional Center. Now, you would remember last week we were here and expecting these bail applications to begin, but of course we had 2 more arrests in the matter. Those individuals who were control room operators, former control room operators, were then joined on to the matter, the state saying that they need more time now to gather more information on the individuals who have been joined onto the case. Of course, the defense attorneys for the accused raising concerns around the fact that we could obviously see more arrests, which could obviously then perhaps delay the bail proceedings even further, but also saying that they believe the 2 days set down for the bail proceedings will simply just not be enough to conclude these bail applications. So there is a possibility, of course, that these applications could spill over to next week. We are expecting Thabo Bester to make his second appearance in court on the 16th of May, where Dr. Nandipha's father, who's already out on 10,000 Rand bail, is expected to also be in court. But just to unpack what we can expect with these bail proceedings, I am joined by a legal expert, Advocate Inez Bezuidenhout from the University of the Free State, the law faculty to be specific. Thank you so much for your time. Now, what we saw last week, Advocate, was the state dropping the murder charge against the accused. Perhaps what can we then foresee in terms of the bail applications?
Thank you, Slee. So the viewers can expect that should the state not proceed with the murder charge, that the matter could possibly resort under a lower schedule, which means that the state will have to prove that it is in the interest of justice that the accused remain in custody. If we expected, or as we expected last week, for a murder charge, that would have automatically elevated the matter to a Schedule 6 offence, which means that the applicants had to bear the onus of proof. One can, however, if there are previous convictions in any one of the applicants, then one can expect that that could also bump up, if I can say it in that terms, the matter to a higher schedule, which will then again turn the onus back to the applicants.
Let's speak then to the fact that this murder charge was dropped. Do you believe or perhaps think the state moved too hastily to charge the accused with murder, and perhaps this may then affect public confidence in how this case proceeds?
I do not think so necessarily. I do think that the state try their best to gather as much evidence in a short span of time. Obviously, as time will pass and the evidence will reveal, the state will be in a much better position to formalize the final charges. So at this stage, one can expect that they would follow up on all their leads and gather as much evidence as possible.
And then speak to me about a provisional withdrawal for somebody who doesn't understand what that means. From my understanding, it means the state could, at any point, if they gather the evidence, the investigating officers obviously, they can, of course, then resume with charging the accused with murder once more.
That is absolutely correct. In a case of withdrawal, the state can, again, when gathered enough evidence, proceed with the matter against the accused. You're absolutely correct in that regard, yes.
And of course, we have been hearing rumors around the possibility of the accused perhaps turning state witness. Would the state take this option if perhaps they don't foresee them being able to prosecute this successfully without those Section 204 applications?
It is always an option available to the state. If a witness testifies frankly and honestly to evidence that might even implicate himself, then he or she can be discharged for prosecution. So the state could possibly consider that. Your witnesses, as a 204 witness, obviously someone that bears evidence or witness to the incident, someone from the inside, so to speak. So yes, it's possible for the state to do that.
Thank you so much for your time, Advocate. All right, that is Advocate Inez Bezadenhout from the University of the Free State, just unpacking some of the bail proceedings, what we can expect in terms of the fact that the murder charge has been provisionally withdrawn by the NPA. We are expecting that particular aspect to be ventilated in court tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see whether any agreements have been made in terms of the defense and the state, because in terms of Dr. Nandipa's father's bail application, there was an agreement with, of course, conditions for his release on bail. And of course, South Africans watching developments around this case quite closely, meaning that the NPA is, of course, under pressure to ensure that they can successfully prosecute and convict those who are already in the dock. And of course, we know that the police are still investigating the matter and have not ruled out the possibility of more arrests taking place. And like I said, next week we are expecting Thabo Bester to make his second appearance in court with the co-accused, and we are hearing that there is a possibility that he may actually, Bradan, appear virtually from the Kgosi Mampuru Correctional Facility in Pretoria due to the safety risks involved in transporting him between Pretoria and Bloemfontein. But at this point, not confirmed as yet, but we understand that the Justice Department is looking into that possibility of Thabo Bester appearing virtually next week.
That's award-winning journalist there, Silindelo Masikane, reporting for us outside the Mangaung court, where tomorrow the case involving Nandipa Magudumana and the co-accused will resume.